Shalom and welcome to Jerusalem. We are standing here right now at the outskirts of the holiest place in the world. I can actually put out my hand and almost touch the Holy of Holies, the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount, the story of the Temple Mount, of course, begins several thousand years ago, where God approaches Abraham and tells him, "Take your son, your beloved son, to the land of Moriah, where I will show you one of the mountains." And Abraham takes his son, and he takes his son to the Mount of Moriah. And according to our tradition, the Mount of Moriah is the place where Abraham brings his son. And he's ready to give his son as an offering to God. Until the last moment, the angel says, "Don't touch him. Don't do anything. Now I know you are faithful." And with his faith, the faith of our patriarch Abraham, we follow in his footsteps. Several hundred years later, King David captured Jerusalem. In his time, Jerusalem was what is called the City of David, a small hill south of where we are standing right now. But on top of that, we have a hill, Mount Moriah, Temple Mount. King David purchases the field on this mountain. He then makes every effort to build the temple of God. He wants to build it, but the prophet Nathan tells him no. God said, you will not build the temple. Your son Solomon will build the temple. This is exactly where we're standing right now. The edge, the northern side of the City of David, touching Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah. It's hard to believe that I can say it, Mount Moriah, and look at it right now where I'm standing. Because for centuries and centuries, people of Israel were praying for the day they could come back to the Holy of Holies, to the Temple Mount, the place where God's divine presence is at all times. And here we are standing. And the history takes us through the building of the first temple built by King Solomon. King Solomon builds on the mountain where his father David purchased the field, and his father David was ready to build that temple, but God told him, "No, your son Solomon will build it." And here we can see King David purchases the field. He builds an altar on the Temple Mount. He praises it. He brings the Ark of Covenant to the mountain, to the field which he had purchased. And he wants to bring the altar, the Ark, into the mountain. He wants to bring the Ark into the mountain. He then builds the altar on the top of the mountain. But the building of the temple itself only accomplished by his son Solomon. Here we can see King Solomon's temple. The first temple built by King Solomon quickly becomes one of the wonders of the world. What we see over here, we see in front of the temple this brazen sea, bronze reservoir that sat upon 12 ox, as described in the book of Kings, which Solomon constructed for the purification purposes. All of this takes place right over here. The first temple stands for several centuries until the Babylonians come. After the prophets Isaiah and Jeremiah are warning the people, please take care of your moral behavior. Please follow the principles of God. But the people of Israel don't follow it, and the Babylonians destroy the first temple. And the first temple is destructed, where all the vessels of the temple are taken along with them to Babylon. But then 70 years later, 7 decades ago, decades away, they begin the return of the people, and they begin building once again the second temple on the same exact location of the very first temple. The second temple built by, at first it begins when Cyrus gives out his declaration and says those who are interested can go and rebuild the temple of God. and many of the people come, tens of thousands of Jews come, and they purchase, and they start building, but then there's a delay of 20 years, until we come to the days of Zerubbabel, till we come to the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, who strengthen the existence of the people of Israel on the Temple Mount. And the second temple is built. The second temple is built, and it's standing there on the same exact location of the first temple. There it is on the second temple, on the same exact location that King Solomon, that exact location that David had purchased. King Solomon builds the second temple. Okay, King Ezra and Nehemiah build the second temple in the exact same location of Solomon's temple. But that temple stands for several years until we know that the Herod comes and he widens the temple. What does he do? He takes the Temple Mount and he enlarges the Temple Mount from an area which is 500 cubits by 500 cubits, which is like 250 meters by 250 meters. He turns it into a place with 140 acres, and as we can see right now in front of us, the Robinson Bridge. If we look right at the corner of the southwestern corner of the Temple Mount, we can see the remnants of this pathway, the stairs that would lead into the temple right above the Herodian Street. And here we can see the Herodian Street. The Ark itself served as a major entrance to the Temple Mount, because as we know, when times of pilgrimage, hundreds and thousands of pilgrims would come from all over the world, and they would want to go into the temple. And as we can see, for instance, on the Passover or on the Feast of the Weeks, the Shavuot, people are coming in and streaming in, and here they are, going up these exact stairs, climbing up, and here we can see that arch, which we see right today, right in front of us, the remnants of that arch. Here we are looking at the arch as it looked like when pilgrims would come and celebrate the festivals, whether it would Passover or Sukkot, and they would climb up and go on, and they would play the music, and they would have many, many people welcoming them on the entrance to the Temple Mount. On top of the Temple Mount, on this corner of the Temple Mount, we had something very interesting. If we follow now, and we go a little further down, we could see the location of a very interesting stone that was found. The stone was found on the floor right over here, and it says on it, Leveit hatki'ah lehachriz, the menorah. It was for him a symbol of victory. It was for him a symbol of no more existence of the Jewish people. It was in his time where the people of Israel go out to final exile. And for him, the fact that he was able to take that menorah with him to Rome symbolized more than anything else the fact that the Jewish people had come to an end. For him, that menorah symbolized the fact that there is no more Jewish existence in Jerusalem. Today, we can proudly say the Jewish people have come back home to their homeland. Many people are coming to visit Jerusalem. People from all nations. People from all over the world are coming to visit Jerusalem. And today, when Titus, who wanted more than anything else to erase any symbol of life in the city of Jerusalem, here we can see the words of the prophets coming out of the book, materializing and becoming a reality in front of our eyes. People from all nations are coming to Jerusalem to call on the name of God. God is one, and His name is one. God bless you. Where are you from? Kenya. Kenya. God bless the people of Kenya. But if we're going back to speak about the menorah That menorah, which was the origin of life. That menorah symbolized more than anything the eternal light of God. That menorah symbolized more than anything else the fact that the origin of light in the world is not the sun. The origin of the light in the world is the light of God. Every single day, the priest in the temple would go ahead and light the menorah. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some news for you. That menorah, which was taken away 2,000 years ago by Titus, has been once again rebuilt, re-prepared. Once again, it is here in front of our eyes, standing the one solid menorah, solid gold. Here it is, being rebuilt, waiting to come and serve in the Temple Mount. Here it is, waiting for that priest to come and bring back the light of God and to announce to the entire world, we are back home. The Jewish people have come back home. The words of the prophets, the words of God in the Bible, make me a menorah of solid gold. Here it is. Yes, the people of Israel have come back home. And God, we are here. Here it is. The menorah has been rebuilt. The menorah is waiting for permission to go in and tell God, here we are. That origin of light, that origin of the light of God in the world. Here it is, one solid piece, 6 branches of gold with 1 centerpiece, a total of seven pieces of gold. It is made of each branch. You can see 3 cups with almonds on them, the knob and the flower, and on top is the kotel itself. Exactly as described in the book. Exactly as described in the book. Exactly as described in the book, where God tells Moses, and the word of God is eternal. The word of God is here forever. The word of God is here in front of our eyes. Yes, the Jewish people, God, have prepared you the menorah, and they want to bring the light back onto the Temple Mount, and they want the light of the menorah to bring light to the world, because the world, the eye, the heart of the world is on the Temple Mount. Here we are, God. We have brought and we have prepared the menorah ready to be used. That menorah, which was a symbol of the victory of Titus against the Jewish people, is once again rebuilt and ready to be used. Shalom. איפה אתם? Where are you from? Where? Here we have the golden menorah, recreated for the first time.
Question from the side.
Yes.
Is it real gold?
Yes. It's made of 24 karat gold. It's made of 42 kilo, 24 karat gold. And the gold is pure gold. It's a kosher menorah, ready to be used. One solid piece of gold, 42 kilo of 24 karat gold. The menorah is only one of the vessels. It's only one of the vessels. The entire temple includes many other vessels. We have the golden table of showbread, the golden table of showbread. We have the golden altar for the incense. We have several other vessels, the silver and marble tables, the copper laver, the 3-pronged fork, the shovel for removing the ashes. All of these vessels have been recreated. ready to be used in the temple. Because we have to understand, what is the concept of the temple? Let's talk a little bit about the concept of the temple. A person comes to the temple. He's actually recharging his spiritual batteries. He's connecting to the origin of energy, the origin of spiritual energy. He's meeting God, and he's meeting God with each and every one of his five senses. Each and every one of his five senses. He can smell the incense. He can see the light of the menorah. He can hear the music of the Levites. Yes, you were able to hear the music of the Levites. The music of the Levites includes 120 trumpets. 120 trumpets. Hundreds and hundreds of lyres. We have the harps and the entire music. So when a person coming to the temple, he actually connects to God with each and every one of his five senses. He's hearing the music. He's smelling the incense. He will eat part of the offerings. He's coming to recharge his spiritual batteries. He's coming to become close to God. To become, once again, a person whose whole life is connected to God. On the other hand, we spoke about the altar, the place where Abraham brings his son. We spoke about bringing the offerings, bringing the first fruits. A person comes to the temple not only to receive, but to give, to bring God his offerings, and to express to God that he understands that everything he has is holy. To express to God that everything he has is a present from God. Humbly enough, the person understands and says, God, here I am, ready to worship you. Here I am, ready to be a servant. Here I am, because of you, to sanctify your name. So we'd say two movements. One is from on top to below down, and that is the movement of the divine presence of God. That is the movement where a person receives, where a person recharges, where a person refuels his engine. On the other hand, coming to the temple is the highest level of giving. Whereas Abraham is ready to give God his beloved son, his past, his future, his entire existence. This is the temple. The temple, the connection between heaven and earth. The connection between God and land. Between spiritual life and the materialistic world. This is the temple. נרד חזרה לכותל המערבי.
ואחר כך נמשיך למטה, אם ייתנו לנו
All right, and we have to go to a metal detector. So your bags put to the machine, your cameras, you don't have to put the machine. There's a table, put your keys, any metal. You don't have to put coin or wallet, but put your cameras, keys on the table, and the coins. All right? Any questions about that?
Here we are standing in front of the Temple Mount. We spoke about the southern western corner of the Temple Mount. But the western wall goes all along 500 meters. On top stands the location of the temple. Many Jews today, unfortunately, due to the fact that going onto the Temple Mount is not always a very positive experience, many Jews prefer to go and pray at the western wall. The western wall is actually the closest wall to the Holy of Holies. The temple stands from east to west. The temple stands from east to west. And therefore the western wall is the closest to the Holy of Holies. In the temple, the more you go west, the holier you are. So if we can see right now